Good evening, Rabbi. What happens is like this, that in order to decide the halacha in the Jewish people, what is the halacha? How is the halacha made? How is the halacha decided? They have to go to the Sanhedrin, to the high court, and they have to take a vote over there. How many judges are on the high court? The Rambam says 71 judges over there. 71. So what they do is they take a vote, and it goes with the majority. So whoever is the majority, that becomes the halacha. This is the way it is, They deliberate over there, they argue about the halacha, so forth and so on. And the halacha becomes like that. So the truth is, that no matter what, the halacha becomes like that. No matter what happens. I mean to tell you that even if they say, for instance, right, the majority of the chachamim, they say something which is not really so correct. In other words, the minority is correct. The ones who are the minority, they're more right than the majority. Nevertheless, the halacha becomes like the majority, no matter what. Even though they're not really so correct. They're not so correct according to the laws of Hashem, according to the thinking of Hashem. Hashem maybe doesn't agree with them. Hashem doesn't agree. But anyway, it becomes the halacha. You know why? Because lo b'shamayim, once the Torah was given to Am Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu gave us the Torah, they don't make any more the halacha in Shemayim. Now they make the halacha over here. Ba'aretz, they make the halacha. So whatever they say, the majority of the judges, this becomes the halacha. So what happens is that they say, that Chazal brought down in Talmud and also on the Poskim, that if a person, let's say one of the judges, or more, let's say he says, okay, the majority of the judges, they said like this, but I don't agree with them, and I'm not going to do like that. I refuse to accept it. So what do we do to somebody like that who refuses to accept the halakha? Well, a chacham like this, a judge, dayan, what we do? We kill him. Chayav mitah. It's chayav mitah. Yeah, chayav mitah. Yeah, you have to kill him. It's execution. Right? This is the way it is. Why is that? Because we want there to be one halakha in Am Yisrael. Not that everybody should have a different halakha. Over here, over there. New York, California, Los Angeles. This, like Fort Lauderdale. Whatever. Every place has a different halakha. It shouldn't be like that. It should be one halakha for everybody. So therefore, what they do is like that. That they execute him. He's chayav mitah. What do we call this person like this who does this? We call him zaken mamre. You know what that means? He's zaken means a chacham that he's mamre. He's rebellious. He's a rebellious chacham, rebel. Mored. So this is what we do to him. We chayav mitah. Actually, there's a story like this brought down in the Talmud. Bar Metzia. Over there, it talks about something very, very fascinating, very exciting. Also, very very sad. Also, what happened was that one time there was a big machloket in the Bet Din in the time of Beit Sheni, in the Second Temple, between the Chachamim and Rabbi Eliezer, So Rabbi Eliezer, he was bigger than all the Chachamim. Right? His name was Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkenos. He was a Gedol Ador. He knew more Torah than everybody else. Like it says in Pirkei Avot, right? It says in Pirkei Avot that if you put Rabbi Eliezer on one side and all the Chachamim on the other side, he's Machriya Takav. Anyway, he outweighs all of them. That's what it says, So he was bigger than everybody. What happened was that they had a machloket about a certain oven, a certain kind of oven. If it's mekabel tumah, if it gets tumah or not. So the Chachamim said one thing, the Rabbi Eliezer said something else. They didn't agree. So what happened was they took a vote, and Rabbi Eliezer, he lost. You know what I mean? So what happened was that he refused to accept it, though. He refused. He said, "No, I'm right and you're wrong. I'm bigger than all of you. I know more than you. I know everything." Right? This kind of thing. He started to just talk like this. So what happened was that they had no choice, So the truth is, they didn't kill him. They didn't execute him. And the question is why? Why didn't they kill him? Maybe because he didn't do it in a way which makes it chayav mitah. There's all kinds of rules about this, He has to do certain things to be chayav mitah. So he didn't, or maybe it could be because they were afraid of the Romans. At that time the Romans were ruling over Eretz Israel. The Romans were ruling, Just like today we have the Americans, making a balagan over there. The same thing also, this was the Romans. So the Romans, maybe they were afraid to kill somebody like that, because of the Romans. The Romans wouldn't like it. I don't know exactly what it was. It doesn't say. But anyway, right? They didn't kill him. So what do? They put him in nidui. They did a cherem on him. Shamata. They excommunicated him. So you know what happened, right? That they kicked him out of the Bet Din. He was staying home. Nobody was coming to him. Nobody was talking with him. They left him alone, just like this. Totally abandoned him. That's what they did. Rabbi Eliezer, That's why they call Rabbi Eliezer, they say he's Shamuti. They call him Rabbi Eliezer Shamuti. Why Shamuti? Shamata, he was excommunicated. He was a menudeh. That's what it means, right? They did nidui on him. This is the reason why they call him shamuti. So therefore, they say that we don't paskin like Rabbi Eliezer. After he was excommunicated, all the things they said, we don't paskin like that. That's very interesting, right? But nowadays, by the way, we don't have any more bet din. This is the thing. We don't have the big bet din. Why is it, by the way, we don't have it? Because we don't have smicha. What's smicha? Smicha means that one chacham gives ordination to the other chacham, to a younger talmid, and he tells them, that you're rawi to be, you're fitting to be a dayan. You're fitting to be a chacham on the bet din. Today we don't have smicha. You know why we don't have smicha? Because smicha has to be given in Eretz Israel only. So since we went to Galut, all the smicha that they did in Galut, that's not called smicha. Only smicha which is in Eretz Israel is smicha. So since all the Jews were in Galut, most of the Jews were in Galut, they were not able to do any more smicha, and therefore what happened was that the smicha got lost. So today we don't have any smicha. The smicha that we do today is just a symbol, symbolic. It's not a real smicha. The real smicha can only be done when it was in Eretz Israel, if they had to continue from there, from generation to generation. But since it got broken, the smicha, the chain got broken, so there's no more smicha. So today, is there anybody who's a real dayan in our generation? No, nobody. There's no real dayan anymore. It says in Masachet Gittin, the Gemara says over there, that we're all like hediotot, In other words, even the rabbanim who sit on the bet din, he's called hediot. What does that mean? He's not a professional dayan, because he doesn't have smicha. This is the thing. So today we're all hediotot. We're not professional dayanim. None of us can claim to be on that level. So this is the reason we don't have bet din today. We don't have such a thing like that. So then, how do we make halacha today, right? So this is the question, right? So the truth is that there's all kinds of rules about this. Brought down in the Rambam, brought down in the Rashba. Usually, what happens is, that we go according to the majority. Also, in other words, Maran Bet Yosef, when he wrote the Bet Yosef, he wrote in the Haftamah over there in the introduction to Bet Yosef. How did he make the halacha when he wrote the Shulchan Aruch and Bet Yosef? How did he make the halacha? So he said, I'm going to do like this. I'm going to take 3 chachamim who are the biggest chachamim, the ones who are more accepted in Am Yisrael, the most accepted chachamim. Right? Who was that? The Rambam, the Rif, and the Rosh. These 3 chachamim. Why these 3 more than anybody else? Because the Rambam was accepted in Eretz Israel. All the people in Eretz Israel in that area, in the Middle East, they were all doing like the Rambam. Right? And the Rosh was accepted in Europe, Europa. Over there, everybody was doing like the Rosh. The Ashkenazim mostly, also some Sfarim as well. And also then in Africa, right, the Rif was over there, the Chacham, in Morocco. The Rif lived in Morocco. He was a Moroccan. So in Africa, they listened to the Rif. They used to go like the Rif. So they had 3 schools of thought, one over here, one over here, one over there. So said Maran, how am I going to make the halakha the Shulchan Aruch? I'll take 2 out of 3, the majority of these chachamim, and I'll make that the halakha. So if 2 out of 3 agree, the Rosh, the Rif, the Rambam, 2 out of 3, majority, that becomes the halakha. That's how he did it, When he wrote the Shulchan Aruch, when he wrote the Bet Yosef, this is the system that he was using in order to make the halakha. So the truth is, that there was one chacham who heard about this in his generation, Maran Bet Yosef. His name was the Marshal. This was Rabbi Shlomo Luria. So he was Ashkenazi. He lived in Europe. Well, so he said about the system of Maran, that it doesn't really make sense so much, this system. And the reason is why. Why doesn't it make sense? So he said, because these are only 3 chachamim, but we have many more chachamim also, that we should first of all, there are only 3 of them. That's one thing. But also he said another thing, which is that when they say, right, when we say halacha is like the majority, that's only when there's a bet din, sitting together and arguing together in the same generation, people in the same generation arguing together. So there we say the halacha is like majority. But if they're arguing one from here, one from there, different generations, this is not called majority. This is not called robe. So what happened, right? The Marshal didn't like the system of the Bet Yosef, but nevertheless it was accepted by Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael accepted the Shulchan Aruch. So therefore we're obligated to go like the rulings of the Shulchan Aruch. This is the way we do today. Shulchan Aruch and all the poskim that came after that also, right? Every posik of each generation. Okay, we'll stop here. We want to do something. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen. Amen. Chazak u'baruch.